First, no refund or exchange. It's a sign seen in stores across the country, particularly at this time of year during the big sales. But consumer advocates say it's just one of many ways retailers are breaking laws that have been in place now for more than a year. This week, new regulations covering warranties against defects have come into force. But as Sarah Jensch reports, it's the unnecessary selling of extended warranties that's raised the ire of the competition watchdog.
It's the time of the year for bargain hunting, but the markdowns shouldn't see a shopper's rights reduced.
You can't mislead consumers. You can't say that there are no refunds, no blanket refunds. You can't say there's no refunds on sales stock.
New laws that took effect on the 1st of January this year mean retailers now have to tell customers about their rights covering refunds and warranties.
I think the important thing for consumers is that they can now come to us or the Office of Fair Trading and we can take action.
That law strengthens protections which came into effect at the beginning of last year that many consumers still don't know about, including the right to refund or exchange faulty products, regardless of whether they're on sale. Lawyer Sally Scott says many retailers are still flouting the law.
When I was shopping on Boxing Day in one of the stores, I noticed that there were huge signs, really big signs saying no refund or exchange on sales stock. And I was really surprised because I know that that's against the law, that they could be fined for that sort of misleading behaviour. There's been a lot of material put out by the consumer protection agencies, but I'm still surprised that they're not catching on to it. I think it's just not filtering down to the level of the shops.
If they're not wanting to be compliant, if they're not reacting appropriately to consumers wanting to take goods back, then of course they are susceptible to fines. We can issue infringement notices for public companies up to $66,000, and of course if we end up in court because they really aren't responsive, then there can be fines up to $1.1 million.
All the laws have been changing and there's been some changes even just at the beginning of this year. So retailers are still coming to grips with it. They are quite complex, and obviously the association works with the Australian Consumer Law and the ACCC to help our retailers understand those laws.
While the law clearly states no refund signs are unlawful, there's confusion about extended warranties. The consumer watchdog is concerned people are wasting their money on something they're already entitled to.
If you're buying a television set, for example, most people would think it would last way past 2 years, so you've already got that right under the law. So in a sense you don't need to pay for extended warranties now. It would be a rare exception where you do, because the law is looking after your rights. If all the warranty's doing is giving you that right, then you're paying for nothing.
I don't think you can just blanket cover and say, no, it's a waste of money. I think it's up to the consumer to make that decision.
And the consumer watchdog says that decision can only be made by shoppers who are fully aware of their rights.
The ACCC says that retailers have to be very careful when they're selling these extended warranties. And the problem is you've got sales staff who aren't lawyers, sales staff on the floor who are trying to sell these extended warranties, and they have to be very careful. They have to be careful not to suggest that one advantage of these extended warranties is a benefit that they already have under the consumer law.
Melbourne musician Peter Green is now all too aware of his rights under the consumer law.
This is basically the reason why I bought it, which is in the description.
He spent more than $3,000 on a television, then discovered it couldn't do what the manufacturer said it would.
I have a TV that is playing music as it's supposed to, but it's all delayed. It's a delayed sound, and it's not up to what anyone would think would be a reasonable level. And I need help because the manufacturer wasn't really coming to the party. They were trying to mince words and do all sorts of things.
The TV is long gone, and Mr Green eventually got back some of the money he paid for it. But it took 18 months and help from Consumer Affairs. And he says he learnt some important lessons along the way.
Through that time, I learnt that the manufacturer's warranty, standard manufacturer's warranty of a year, is something that is really not kind of worth the paper it's written on. I never thought as a consumer I'd be put in this precarious position where I would need to fight so hard for something that I would think would be quite a standard thing to expect as a consumer.
Since the introduction of the Australian consumer law, shoppers now have a distinct advantage they didn't have in the past.
The ACCC or the Officers of Fair Trading can step in and help you enforce your rights, whereas before you had to enforce them yourself. So those changes just make the world of difference, and this is the first sort of post-Christmas period where these laws have applied, so it's a profound change.